squash. Some of it's about ready to pick. If you notice, some of it's turning yellow there on the leaves. And I haven't picked any until today. Kind of waiting. But they're ready, or some of them are anyway. We've still got some green ones on there, and a lot of blooms that are still growing. But I'm going to go ahead and get these ones here that are ready. They're a little bit different color, turning yellow, and the skin's a little bit harder than the other ones. Give the thumbnail test. If you notice, let's see if I can find a green one in here. There's some green ones in here amongst the foliage and the nut grass that's growing in here, and crabgrass and one other kind of weeds I got in here. Yeah, see that one there is still green, still small, still green. Got a bunch of them in here. That one there, somebody was eating on, or something was eating on it. So there's a lot in here that are about this size and that size right there still. We'll just let these grow, let them grow before I pull these things up at the end of the year. So let's pull some squash out of here. I haven't gotten in the middle over there yet. Kind of wading around the edges. So I'll be able to make some, well, just eat squash, just bake squash. Be able to make some butternut squash soup or bisque. It's pretty good, simple to make, tasty, goes a long way, tastes really good. I'll do a recipe on that when I get ready to make some of that soup. I was going to do one last year and just never got around to it. So let me go pick some more of these squash. I got one kabocha out of them 3 plants. Well, I got one that we left alone. We did eat some of them that were young. Well, they were still young and they were creamy, very tasty. You can't necessarily go by the size of them. These ones are teeny, but they've been on there for a while. And their color's right. They're hindering the rest of the plant, which there's a lot of blooms still on there. So we should carry this thing through probably till at least the end of September or October to have some more squash. But we got quite a few already. I'll have to figure out something to do with these things. Now, these things will store for a long time. I've got some from last year that are still viable. But they'll store, there's a reason I call them winter squash, because they'll store over the winter time. But you really shouldn't go over probably 6 months. Okay, we got a little bit of a pile there. That's enough for today. We'll be eating on those for a while. I still got eggplant, yellow squash, pile of tomatoes and peppers and all kinds of other stuff. Like I said, I still got a lot of blooms on these up underneath there. And you come out here in the morning, the bees are still very active over here in the squash. The kabocha, it did okay. Could have done better. Butternut squash did pretty damn good. I didn't think it'd do good over here, but it took off. You know, at first it all looked like it was going to die. Transplant shock. And this was a new plot that I didn't test. I just tilled it, did some rows, and planted. So not ideal, but it did okay so far. So I'll plant something different here next year probably. I'll probably move the squash over the other plot, or I'll extend this out over some and plant next to it and plant something different over here next year. Maybe. Don't know yet. I still got a lot of squash seeds left, and whatever I take out of these I'll save. Now this is a delicata variety of butternut squash. I didn't buy seeds for it. We bought a squash from the grocery store and threw the seeds out in the compost pile. The seeds in the pith. And of course, next spring they grew. And you can tell right off when something comes off of this squash plant or cucurbit, basically. They look a little bit different when they first come up. You can tell automatically they're squash. And then grew them the first year, and then grew them, well, I didn't even really grow them last year. They just grew by themselves out of the compost pile. In fact, there's some over there growing now. But I took a bunch of those that were in the compost pile and just transplanted them over here. Just dug them up and planted them. And there was a lot of sand over here in this soil. You could water and water and water and dig down an inch, and it's dry as could be. But for whatever reason, it worked for the squash. I'd say pretty good. It's covered. Of course, it's still got a lot of Bermuda grass in here, and some mare's tail, and a lot of crabgrass, and nut grass is growing up through the squash. So I'll have a problem with nut grass next year, unless I do a winter cover over here, at least on this side where the squash was, which I probably will. That remains to be determined what I'm going to put in here as far as cover. Haven't really decided yet. Might do wheat. Might do a wheat and something else mixed together. I don't need that much, just enough to cover this little bit here. And I'll probably do the whole thing, because once that corn's gone in November, pretty much, we'll plant something over there, let it grow to try and kill the weeds out of here, or at least suppress them some. Hate to have to come in here and burn it down, but you know, we'll do the cover first and see how it works out. But that's it for our squash for now. There will be more, a lot more, it looks like. Some of these are pretty small, and they only grew so much, and I left them on there for too long. Really, I should have cut them off, but I didn't. So gnats and mosquitoes are getting me, so I'm going to collect these squash and go in. Guys, take care.